guys, and welcome on back to She's Diabetic. If you've just come from part 1, welcome to part 2 of my Q&A. If you're just joining this video fresh and you haven't watched part 1 yet, I would encourage you to do so. Basically, I asked over on my Instagram for your Q's and I'm giving my A's, but your Q's have been so wonderful and so thought-provoking that I decided to split this up into 2 videos, so it's not like one huge video coming at you and like an overwhelming length, which I've been known to talk, so that occurs. So picking up right where we left off, let's get back into the questions. L. Thompson 1825 asks, love your vlogs, thank you. What does your A1C typically run? I am disappointed with mine, 8.6, sad face. I don't like the sad face, that makes me sad. My A1Cs, it's difficult, right? I think it's helpful to hear what other people's A1Cs are at, but I also think it encourages this kind of competitive nature, like your A1C is better than mine, this one A1C is better, but people are curious. And I understand that. So my A1Cs tend to run in the 5s, low 6s. Don't be disappointed with yourself with 8.6. If you want to have a better A1C, that's A-okay and great for you. But this is hard. This is really a hard condition to live with. And I don't know. The thing that breaks my heart is when I hear people being ashamed of their numbers, ashamed of their diabetes, ashamed of their care. I think for the most part, we're all doing the very best we can, or we're trying, especially in a year like this, right? I'm sorry you're feeling sad about your 8.6, but it in no way means you're a failure. Thank you for your question. But please know that what mine is doesn't indicate that yours is better or worse, and vice versa. We're all on our own journey, and I just want you to know that, because I don't want you to go, oh yeah, you're in the 5s and 6s and that's better and I want to be there. If you want to be there, that's great and good for you for wanting that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't want that, but what I'm saying is just be kind to yourself, because I don't think you have anything to be ashamed of at all. Joe Annie Poof asks, do you think that you are in a somewhat controlled / peaceful state in your diabetes? Yeah, I do. I actually do. Yeah. I feel very happy in my life. This year has been really hard. This lockdown is hard, you know, all those things. But this year has given me a nice perspective on life and given me a lot of time to focus in on what really matters and what I really value. And I've had a lot of sad things happen to me this year, but a lot of really happy things too. So I always say that relatively mimics my diabetic state, and I do feel quite controlled, or as controlled as you can be, and most of all at peace. Yeah, I do. Carla Weiss 90 asks, what's your targeted blood sugar range? My current goal is 70 to 160. I would say my bottom is very similar to you, 70, and then I sort of try to stay under 150. The ideal would be sitting under 120, but that can oftentimes lead to some more lows. So 70 to 150. I'd say. But if it's in a tighter range, it's not like I'm like, ah, yes, I'm winning. And if it's in a wider range, it's not like, ah, I'm losing. I just try to generally be in that range and keep the old healthy mind with it. Jacqueline Pirazano asks, what's the highest unit number you took for just the one meal? Maybe 5 units? I can't really remember when though. It probably involved like a state fair food item, like an elephant ear or funnel cakes or something. I'm salivating now. Hey Canvas Deck asks, love your channel so much. When do you prefer to exercise during the day? Thank you for watching. Thank you for saying that. Morning. I'm a morning exerciser. If I'm going to a class, I can squeak out like an evening or an afternoon one because I'll have like the vibe of the class to lift me up. But if I'm on my own and during these stay-at-home routines, if I don't get my exercise done in the morning, it ain't happening. Crystal Color 2021 asks, how long have I been on a pump? I think about 3 years. Crystal also asks, how is your sugar? Oh, let's do a blood sugar check. That is my blood sugar. Currently, I am 103 side arrow. And if we want to have a look at how my day has been, I've had a very, very excellent. It's not normally quite as good as this, but it's been a good day. So that is my 24-hour graph. Carly_June asks, are your periods crazy around / during your cycle? How do you handle it? Okay. I've been asked so many times about this and I really need to make a video about it. My good friend and amazing YouTuber, if you don't follow her, you must. Michelle Lord, she is amazing. Her YouTube channel, amazing. She's eloquent, she's accomplished. She is just like girl crusher-rama. She made a video about periods and type 1 diabetes that is excellent. I'm gonna link it down below, and if I can link it anywhere on the screen, I'm gonna do that as well. So I would really encourage you to watch that video because, well, quite frankly, she's the best, and it's a great video. I once had an endocrinologist say to me, around your period, you should just hope for the best, because it's gonna be bad. And he was like a really good endocrinologist. So that always stuck with me. On pump, I'm on the TSlim X2. I have another basal rate. When I'm in my cycle, I need way more insulin. So I have another basal rate set up that has higher levels of insulin and background insulin rates throughout the day. So I switch to that profile when I'm in my period or right before I start my period so as to help bring down those highs. That I have found the biggest hack. Other than that, really just try to hope for the best, like my endocrinologist said. You know, maybe eating lower carb around that time, maybe eating more meals that I'm very, very familiar with and adept at bolusing for, those kind of things. Lots of rest, lots of sleep, and, you know, chocolate. _Alexander_Lou asks, are you always eating 3 meals a day? Yeah, for the most part I am. Sometimes I will not really have a proper breakfast because I wake up and I'm not super hungry. So I don't end up eating like, you know, bacon and eggs or something like that. But for the most part, I definitely have a good sized lunch, good sized dinner, and I tend to have some kind of breakfast even if it's not a huge amount. Alexander also asks, how do you bolus for pizza? Smiley face, haha. I hear you. Smiley face, haha, indeed, for pizza and the pizza bolus. Okay, couple things. I'm on a pump so I can do an extended bolus, which means you could take insulin up front and then have it trickle in throughout an extended period of time, basically, which is great because pizza has high fat, but is also high carb. So not only do I find it gives me an initial spike, but it also gives me an extended spike, if not an upward trajectory because of all that fat. I'm not an expert. I just don't know. It's a guessing game, but I try to take, you know, the right amount of insulin up front, or kind of 50% up front, and then 50% over, say, a 2-hour period. And if I'm gonna have a pizza meal, I may try to eat it earlier on in the night, like an earlier dinner, so as to make sure I have time, enough waking hours after that to kind of see where it's headed and bolus accordingly if I need to bring it down. Not an expert. You can also, if you want, try fun swaps like lower carb pizza bases, cauliflower pizza bases, that kind of thing. They still have quite a lot of carbs in them, but maybe it's a little bit more manageable. But like really, when you want to eat pizza, you want to eat pizza. What's that meme? Like, if cauliflower can be pizza, then you can be anything. I like that. Follow your dreams. Alexandra, you also ask, can you tell us something about the Control IQ? What do you think about the TSlim X2? What pump are you using? Is it the TSlim X2? I've probably read that in the wrong reverse order, but yes, I am on the TSlim X2. I love it. 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 I'm working on a review video, so that should be out in the next few weeks. Keep your eyes peeled. But I love the TSlim X2, and basal IQ, well, it's just been the dream. It's just been the dream. Something that really surprised me with basal IQ, like when I first started it all up, was that I was getting these straight lines overnight, and that some nights I wouldn't be given any extra insulin to correct. Some nights I would be given extra insulin to correct. Some nights I would be given, you know, it would cut out so as to not go low. Now, that was really exciting to me and intriguing to me. And in case nobody knows what I'm talking about, I should say the basal IQ feature of the TSlim X2 is that it coordinates with your Dexcom G6 and will give you micro boluses of insulin if you're going high, and will suspend your insulin if you're going low to keep you in a set range, to give you more time in range. And for me, when I was seeing those behaviors overnight, I was so intrigued, because I was like, wow, this just goes to show, like, I could never have anticipated that. I couldn't anticipate going to sleep one night and thinking, yeah, I don't need to make any basal adjustments, and then going to sleep the next night and being like, yeah, you know, I'm probably gonna need like 0.2 units at 2 a.m. or whatever. So the overnight corrections and clocking me in more hours, time in range overnight has been, I've just slept so much better. I've just slept so much better. I'm so grateful for that. So love it. Review video coming, but those are kind of a few pepperings of me thoughts. And to answer on from that, Jed AHU asks, are you going to move to Medtronic 680G or any other pump? No, I don't foresee myself moving away from my TSlim until maybe TSlim comes out with something else, but as you all know, I'm a big Dexcom lover, advocate. I'm an ambassador with them, so I love Dexcom. So to me, having a pump that plays well and coordinates with that, and having this basal IQ, it all just makes perfect sense for me and my setup and what I have going on, but it also has just impressed me beyond compare. So I have no interest in hopping over into the Medtronic camp, basically because they have their own sensors and their own CGMs, and they don't play with Dexcom, and I'm just like a Dexcom advocate through and through. I'm not coming off my Dexcom. So that's probably why I would never go to Medtronic, or why I would not entertain that at this moment in time. Ms.Olalala asks, how do you take care of your feet as a diabetic? I just try to take very good care of my feet. I try to make sure my nails are clipped well. I try to, as in they're not growing too long, or I don't clip them too short so it's like creates bleeding or anything like that. I try to just inspect my feet, purely just having an understanding of like looking at them and seeing what's going on. That I think goes a long way. I have been known to have the odd foot bath. My fiance David gave me a wonderful gift last year for my birthday. I'll insert a picture, but it's a foot bath that has like the pumice stones at the bottom, and you have like hot water bubbling. It's just rather luxurious. So something like that, you know, keeping them moisturized. And the best thing, good shoes, good shoes, good shoes. I mean, everybody says it, but it's true. I really consider my shoes very carefully. I'm kind of a nightmare when it comes to shoe shopping, because if anything feels too tight or too loose or is rubbing the wrong way, I'm like, absolutely nope, return it, don't buy these things. I'm nope. I really consider my shoe choice immensely, because first of all, I like to be comfortable. But also, if there's any like, it's too tight or anything like that, absolutely not interested. Shoes are probably the biggest one for me. Lots of support and no rubbing, and yeah. Okay, I'm losing the light, so hopefully I can get through this quite quickly before I become a ghost in the evening. J Haywood 07 asks, do you get any soreness in your thigh sites? Mine get awful sore, especially on day 3. Sometimes I do. Okay, sometimes those thigh sites can get irritated. It depends though. Sometimes they're totally fine. Other times they get really like, ooh, awful feeling. The way I approach things is if a site starts to hurt, it's time to change it out. Now, I know that's not doable for everyone. Maybe you don't have enough supplies, or maybe you're running low on supplies. So I understand if that's not doable. But for the most part, I think when a site is sore, sometimes it's sore initially when you put the cannula in, I find, but then after a day that sort of settles down. But if it's continually sore, in my opinion, how I take that is my body's trying to tell me, hey, this is not working for me. Please change this. So that's what I do when I have a sore site. I'm also going to link up above an insulin infusion set site video that I recently posted. In case those thigh sites are giving you trouble, maybe you want to move away from those sites and try the arms or the stomach or the back or that type of thing. And along the same lines of the insulin pump conversation, Emerdoe, I hope I'm saying that right, asks, what made you choose your insulin pump that you have now? The fact that it plays well with the Dexcom, that it connects with the Dexcom, and the fact that it has the basal IQ was like no-brainer. And I was very, very lucky in that my dad had the TSlim X2, so I got to see it in action and was like, you know, really impressed by what it could do on a daily basis when I could see him interacting with it. So that gave me the extra impetus to want to choose that pump. What_Amber_War asks, how do you plan infusion set placements when you're working on set? Is it a collaboration? Yes, I do. I do sort of plan it. If I'm wearing something that is going to be really tight, I might go on an insulin pump holiday so I don't have to worry about where my pump is. But other times, costumers are just amazing and very creative. And there's lots of ways you can hide a pump. I will link up above how I hide my insulin pump video. A lot of that has come through just years of wearing the pump, and also sometimes working with costumers to find creative ways to hide that. So I'm really proud of that video. I think it's got some really good ideas. But yeah, I do definitely consider it, and it is a collaboration. Type1.Jen also asks, healthier foods to treat a low. In my mind, the healthiest way to treat a low, for me that I've experienced, is the thing that's most fast acting and straightforward and doesn't tend to be delicious. That is because I have had a past where I will make myself go low just to eat my favorite foods. And I think you should eat your favorite foods all the time. But to force yourself into that behavior is it was ridiculous. So for me, my go-to is glucose tablets all the time. They're straightforward, they're counted out perfectly per tablet, and they work very, 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 very quickly. And then I will follow that up with some kind of healthy carb plus fat combo to keep me level. I guess it depends on how immediately you need to treat the low. If you're 75, it's very different if you're 55. But I try to prioritize the glucose tablets over everything because they just get the job done, and they're not like an opportunity for me to like have my favorite foods or something like that, if that makes sense. Available Artist asks, in COVID-19, did you face any difficulty in type 1 diabetic supplies? Oh, yes. Okay, not in the traditional sense, but I normally live in the UK. That's where I get all my supplies. It works beautifully for me there. It has worked so well all throughout COVID. There's been no disruptions to my pump supplies or my Dexcom supplies at all. However, I came in November to the US and I've been here ever since. And because of COVID, I didn't go back immediately to London like I had planned at the beginning of this year, and I'm still here. I talk about this more in my recent low carb vlog. Now, when I travel, I always pack about 1/3 to 2/3 more supplies than I need in case of kinked cannulas, in case I drop an insulin bottle and it shatters, everything like that. However, when you're here for longer than 1/3 or 2/3 extra of the time, you're gonna run out. So that has been and is an ongoing, incredible stress to me. I am working through it. There are amazing people in this community that are helping me out. So it's all good. I'm okay. I will have everything I need in one form or another. But yes, COVID has affected my insulin supplies in that regard because I've been here for so much longer than I anticipated. But that's really my own travel circumstances issue and not the manufacturer's issue. And I kind of can't stress that enough because I think like the support I've had through these different companies and their assurance that everything is still being made and provided and delivered, that's been amazing. So it's really been more from a sense of my travel issue there. Nora Benditz asks, how did you deal with your diagnosis in the beginning? I am diagnosed in December. I'm so sorry to hear of your recent diagnosis. I can only imagine what you're going through, especially in the middle of this pandemic. It's hard. At the beginning, it was really hard. At the beginning, I was sort of almost in shock. Like, first of all, I came from a family where my brother and my dad was type 1 diabetic. So it was my brother, me, my mom, and dad. So I've said this before, more people around the dinner table were taking insulin before a meal than not once I was diagnosed. So that really skewed my view and my ability to kind of accept my diagnosis because I had so many touchstones of it being normal around me in the house I grew up. So that I know is not the same for everybody, but if I could give you an ounce of that feeling, if I could give you some of that feeling, I really would like to, because that was a gift. It's one of the biggest reasons why I made this channel, because I felt like I really missed that when I didn't have those people around me when I moved to London. So yeah, it was really hard at the beginning. I just tried to take it one step at a time, but the first couple of years were really, really rough. And if they are for you too, I am so sorry, but please know that that is not unusual. You're getting to grips. It's like you're learning to be a human again. So it's a lot. So yeah, just please know that it's really hard at the beginning, and I'm thinking about you. And if you have any other questions or anything else you want to ask me, let me know down below. Or if there's any video about this topic that you'd like to see, also let me know down below in the comments section, because it's been a while since I've been diagnosed. So I'm a little bit removed from that experience, but I remember it being really, really, really hard to kind of accept and get to grips with so quickly. So yeah, I'm thinking about you. This is a tough time. Please have patience with yourself. And I always say this, please know that it does get easier. It gets so much easier. It's a hard disease to live with. Sometimes are harder than others. Like, it's constant and it's all the things, and I'm not trying to minimize its intensity, but I do want you to know that you are not alone and it will get easier. I hope that helps. Okay, 2 questions here that very much relate. Claire Joe 80 asks, can you suggest a packed lunch type meal that you don't have time to pre-bolus oral, only a 35-minute break? And Christine _ Welch, hi Christine, 52, she asks, if you need a lunch for the road, what do you pack? My answer to these questions is very similar for both. I'm a big sandwich person. It's just like an easy lunch and easy to consume and easy to eat on the go and all that stuff. So for both of those scenarios, how I would approach it is I would do, you know how you buy the heads of iceberg lettuce? I like to get the heads of iceberg lettuce and make that into like my bread and load that up with hummus or salsa, meat, cheese, burger, whatever. Just like load that up, avocado, load those up, wrap them up, and then eat that as a sandwich. So it's a relatively low carb meal that doesn't require a pre-bolus, and it doesn't require you being up and moving around, say for the car journey, Christine, but it is going to satisfy you and satiate you, and I have made some really yummy ones of those. I think when you don't have time to pre-bolus, chances are you want something a little lower carb so that you don't have those spikes that you have to account for. And same thing when you're in a car. I've done several car journeys recently, actually, and I've done that like sandwich with the lettuce as the bread type of thing, because I just find when you're in a car, you can't get up and move around and get insulin moving in your body as easily. So I would go low carb in that instance as well. Speaking of low carb, I have more questions than I can answer individually. I'm just gonna clump this all together. What are your favorite low carb snacks? I got tons and tons and tons of questions about that. Because I've been doing sort of a pseudo keto little bit type of thing, I talk more about this in part 1. I've discovered some nice treats that I'm going to show now. These are some kale crisps. Yes, I know they probably sound disgusting, but actually they're pretty yummy. I like these Brad's. He has a couple other versions, like a cheesy flavor and whatnot. I find those really yummy. Don't knock till you try it. That's been a great low carb. It's got total carbs 6 grams, but then dietary fiber 2. So minus the 2 from the 6, that would be 4 net grams of carbs for half of this bag, which I think is pretty good. Something I've also discovered is flaxseed crackers. So these are called flackers. See what they did there? Those are really good. Popping some unsweetened nut butter on those has become like a go-to afternoon num-num-nummers snack for me. Really enjoying that. Also on the scale of don't knock it till you try it, I've been enjoying these cauliflower bites. They also are very similar to the kale in that they're low carb, but then they have the fiber as well, which is great. Those are some things that I've been going towards recently, but like celery with some kind of nut butter that doesn't have any added sugar in it, that can be really yummy. Hard-boiled eggs, fresh vegetables, vegan cheese, big fan of, yum. I got a lot of people saying don't suggest nuts, but nuts are a good option. Almonds, macadamia nuts, Brazil nuts. Those are kind of a little bit lower in carb. That type of thing. I've tried my best to answer all the questions and kind of touch on all the themes that were asked within the questions, but if I haven't, please keep asking me. I will do another one of these Q&As. I will post it on my Instagram about the Ask Me questions. But with that being said, oh my goodness, thank you guys so much for asking and just being you and participating and collaborating with me. I mean, these kind of videos are true collaborations with you guys. That's why they're my favorite types, because I get to like have a conversation and you get to give me video topic ideas through the answering of the questions. So thank you for being my collaborators on this video. I genuinely mean that 1 trillion bajillion % thank you. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Great blood sugars, straight CGM lines, people that listen and understand and are inquisitive and helpful and supportive of you with your type 1 diabetes. But most importantly and most of all, I wish you a happy, healthy mind with it all. So that's all for now, and I'll see you next time.